attended one of our webinars. We're recording the session and we'll email you the recording along with the slides after the webinar is over. So in this 45-minute session, we're going to demonstrate some of the new capabilities of ArcGIS Pro 2.3, which is the largest release of ArcGIS Pro since Pro has been around. This webinar is designed for ArcGIS users who would like to learn about the new functionalities in ArcGIS Pro and begin using these new innovative capabilities in their GIS. So we will try to answer all of your questions, but we have a lot of content to cover. So if you do have any questions about the content we'll be presenting, please use the Q&A panel. Be sure to choose to ask all panelists, type in your question in the box, and then click send. We'll also pause throughout the webinar to take questions, and we'll type questions again at the end, but feel free to type in your question in at any time. So let's get right into it. So topics we're going to be discussing today include mapping and visualization improvements, including new enhancement in charts and layouts. We're going to be exploring some new analytical capabilities like LocateXT and infographic tools. And we'll also be learning about 3D imagery functions, such as creating building scene layer from BIM Revit data.
Thank you, Somaya. This might be you, and you may think that you are not ready to migrate to ArcGIS Pro. You may ask, does ArcGIS Pro replace ArcMap? The answer is yes. ArcGIS Pro replaces ArcMap. Esri is focusing on making ArcGIS Pro the world's best desktop GIS. Most of the functionalities available in ArcMap are available in ArcGIS Pro now. The challenge is to find familiar commands and workflows in this application. Now it's time to take advantage of enhancements in ArcGIS Pro 2.3 that improve your workflows for mapping, analysis, and data management. Now we wanted to hear from you. I'm going to open a poll and hear your feedback about, is your organization already using or ready to migrate to ArcGIS Pro? You have almost 33 minutes to answer this question. Okay, now I'm going and share the result of analysis with you guys. Now I can see from your answer, almost 65% of GIS professionals, they are ready to work with ArcGIS Pro, and only 34% they are not ready, or they are very interested to start. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is talking about ArcGIS user type. If you are not able to sign in to ArcGIS Pro, you may see the error message like this. The message, your account is not licensed for ArcGIS Pro, means that you are a member of an ArcGIS organization, but your account is not configured to use ArcGIS Pro. The only compatible user type for an ArcGIS Pro license is ArcGIS Professional and Creator user types. Other user types are not compatible with an ArcGIS Pro license. ArcGIS Pro license is automatically assigned for ArcGIS Professional user type, but an add-on ArcGIS Pro license must be assigned for the Creator user type by the administrator. Default licensing for ArcGIS Pro is managed via your ArcGIS Online or portal for ArcGIS account. You still can use single and concurrent use license. Let's move on to talk about mapping and visualization improvements. We will highlight these measure functionalities for mapping and visualization section for this webinar. Mapping in ArcGIS Pro is visual and interactive experience. You can create a 2D map to visualize your spatial data. New enhancement in Pro 2.3 is adding label classes from symbology layers, which allows you to automatically make a label classes available and follow your symbology. In this way, you can specify different label properties for each label classes. For example, you can label cities with a large population in a larger font size than those with a smaller population. Sometimes seeing information in 3D can shed even more light on your data. In Pro, you can set an extrusion on a layer. You can extrude polygons by an attribute to create 3D prism maps, such as property prices, county population, neighborhood crime incidents. Setting attribute value for extrusion can be done by arcade expression in extrusion text box. Chart. A chart is a graphical representation of data. Visualizing data through charts helps to uncover patterns, trends, relationships, and structure in data. Use scatter plots to visualize the relationship between two numeric variables. Use charts together with maps to explore our data and help tell a story. We can select features in the chart to see where they fall on the map. A scatter plot chart matrix is used to visualize more than two variables to show their relationships. A scatter plot matrix is a grid of scatter plots. Each scatter plot in the matrix visualizes the relationship between a pair of variables, allowing many relationships to be explored in one chart. Also, a histogram showing the distribution of each numeric variable can be added to the matrix. A regression equation can be calculated for every scatter plot in the matrix. Heat map. Heat map is a representation of point distribution. It's the best way to visualize the concentration of data. We can use heat map symbology when you have many points that are close together and cannot be easily distinguished. In Pro 2.3, heat map symbology draws point feature as a dynamic to represent a surface of relative density. With the dynamic method, the density definition is recalculated each time the map extent changes. This method is very useful to view local density variation. Now I'm switching to my demo and show you all these new capabilities and workflow that I described in the presentation. Okay, the first thing that when you launch ArcGIS Pro and you see is the initial screen. In this screen, you will see the list of previously open projects. New at 2.3 is the ability that you can pin or unpin the recent project. Even you can right-click and remove the project from the list. Another ability that is enhanced in ArcGIS 2.3 is ability to open a Pro without creating project. So now we can explore our data or perform temporary analysis without creating project. One of my favorite enhancements in ArcGIS Pro 2.2 is ability to drag and drop map MXC and map package directly to ArcGIS Pro. Now this map MXC is created in ArcMap, and I'm going and drag and drop it to my catalog page. So let me open my catalog first. And now, one more time, I'm going and drag and drop this MXD. This MXD already has layout. All the property of this map MXD will be available within ArcGIS Pro. Now I'm able to visualize my layout in ArcGIS Pro. Another enhancement in ArcGIS Pro is capability of opening the same project within ArcGIS Pro when you are going to open it. So I'm just going to the Option tab and configure ArcGIS Pro to always open the default project. This is very useful when you set up your project to your server or additional file geodatabase, and you wanted always open your project to have access to your server and the database connection. Another item that you see, you are able to configure ArcGIS Pro to open always through template without creating project. Okay, let's move on to the next part of our demo, which is talking about mapping and visualization. This is the map of the crime incident in Toronto neighborhood. We symbolize this map based on the value of the robbery at 2017. As you see in this map, the red area represents more than 200 robberies. What is new in ArcGIS Pro 2.3 is creating label class through this symbology. Now we are able to go and take advantage of this new enhancement. This is good when you wanted to create different label class with a different font size and different visual visibility range to emphasize those areas that are at risk. Let's move on to the 3D visualization. This is the same crime data that you visualize it in the 3D. We extrude the Toronto neighborhood polygon by using robbery value to highlight the neighborhoods at risk. ArcGIS Pro supports extruding feature by setting attribute value within arcade expression. You can use operation to add multiplier to calculate and emphasize the crime value. Let's talk about the chart. Chart is another way that you can visualize your data. This is the same crime data, and I'm able to create multiple charts from this data. One chart that I wanted to talk about is a scatter plot. Let's open the scatter plot and see what we can do with it. Within the scatter plot, you can compare two variables to each other. In this scatter plot, we wanted to compare the value of average household at 2017 with the robberies at 2017 as well. So as you see, we are able to highlight some of the features that is in the chart, as well as visualizing the associated feature in the map. You are able to symbolize your chart based on the proportional symbology of your variable. For this scenario, we wanted to symbolize it based on the value of income. Another interesting thing, I'm able to highlight the neighborhood that doesn't have any robbery, and the income is more than 700K annual. So let's move on to another type of chart, which is a scatter plot chart. As you see, we are able to visualize the scatter plot chart but for comparing the multiple variation. This is scatter plot compare education with culture, as well as robbery and education. So I'm able to visualize scatter plot chart metrics through correlation. And regression can be calculated for us. When you look at these metrics, you can visualize the strong correlation that's available within charts. Let's look at the first strong correlation, which is between income and education. This chart is showing me that those neighborhoods with more uneducated people are lower income neighborhoods. Let's look at the second strong correlation, which talk about culture and robbery. It's positive relationship between those neighborhoods that they have access to the recreation center, arts, and sport, and robbery. More robbery happens in the neighborhood that pay attention more to the art and culture or have access to the recreation center and museum. So as you see, there is a positive relationship here, and we are able to understand this information from the chart. Let's look at another type of map making, which is heat map. Heat map, it's perfect when you wanted to see the distribution of your data. In Pro 2.3, we can set symbology to for the different method to define the recalculate the density for our map. So if I change the method for dynamic, it means the map recalculate density each time the map extent changes. So if I'm zooming to the particular location that I'm interested, ArcMap will calculate the density. With constant method, it's different functionality. So with the constant, the density remain constant regardless of map extent. Another enhancement that's available with ArcGIS Pro 2.2 is ability to create multiple definition query within one map. So we can run multiple definition query, as you see, with the label properties of your layer. And I can look at the crime data. At the same time, I'm able to look at the neighborhood that their number of the assault is more than average. If I'm interested to look at another definition query, which is a total crime, I can highlight the neighborhoods that the total crime is above average, but still I'm able to see the number of the robberies and compare these two variables. So with all this information, I'm going to pass to Somaya to talk about the analytical aspect of data clock chart and report.
Thanks, Sapide. Okay, so now let's get into some analytical capabilities in ArcGIS Pro 2.3. So first I want to start off with some data clocks. And data clocks help to visualize data distribution in a different time frame. So it visually summarizes temporal data into 2 dimensions to reveal seasonal or cyclical patterns and trends over time. So for example, you can create a data clock to visualize trends and seasonality of accidents, let's say. So let's go in and let's take a look at how to do that. Okay, so here I'm taking a look at KSI accident counts in the city of Toronto. And KSI accidents stand for vehicle accidents which occur where people are killed or seriously injured. So when you first place your points on a map, it's difficult to see any temporal trends. So typically the first thing we do is we create a line graph. And what you can start to see here is there is some seasonality of when these accidents are happening. So for example, here we can see in December 2013 that that's when the lowest count of these accidents occurred. And fun fact, December 2013 is when the North American storm complex occurred. So there was that huge ice storm in Toronto and 300,000 people were left without electricity. So once we start to see this seasonality, we can make a data clock. And now looking at my data clock here, you're able to see the cyclical trends and they become more apparent. So each ring here represents a year and each wedge represents a month of data. So we're looking at accidents from 2013 to 2017, and you're clearly able to see that there's a low count of accidents in February, and the highest occur in August. So what I've also done is I've done the same thing on the right here with weeks. I can also go into this data clock chart, and I can aggregate my data and see how many drivers involved in the accident were under the influence. Okay. Let's talk about infographics. So the infographics tool now includes Esri templates accessed from the new infographics pane. You can view your organization's shared templates or build your own using the My Variables feature, and you do need credits in order to use this tool. So infographics can help you answer a bunch of location-based questions. Something else I want to talk about that's new and exciting is that now you can generate a report to share a well-formatted, multi-page representation of your data. Reports are a new project item and come with a new view type. They can also be shared as PDF files, saved as a part of your project package, or saved as a report file. So let me dive into a demo for this. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is some Canadian census data. And let's start off with our infographics tool. So once I hit this infographics button, and I select a census subdivision, it will create infographics for that polygon feature. So for this example, I selected Sudbury, and it'll start to create infographics for them. I can also go in and I can select some templates, or I can create my own variables and configure my infographics, which I'll go into in a bit. So here you can see a lot of data and information. For example, some annual household spending, age pyramid, some language information, and I can also compare it to other census subdivisions in Canada. So if I want to configure my infographic, something I like to do is I like to show available data for Canada, and then I can go in and add some variables. Now, we harness the power of Environics, and so we have a lot of data that's available to us. So for example, I can choose a lot of variables, including education, housing, marital status. Go in there and you'll see what's available and also for what year. Okay, so now let's get into the exciting part of creating a new report. So if I go in and I click on any feature, you'll see that I've got some attributes that I would like to create a report out of. Now to create this new item type, I can either insert a new report, or I can go to my actual layer and then create a new report from there. So once I hit that, the step-by-step process appears to create a report. So let's go in and give this report a name. That looks good. I can go in and I can select which rows I would like to display. So I can go and select all rows, selected rows, or I can filter by expression on the fly. So I'll go with all rows, and by default, it will select features that are visible in my feature layer. So this looks good. I'm going to go next. And now let's get into grouping and sorting. So I would like to group by province name. I'm going to sort by my census division name. And then let's add some summary statistics for, I want to show some population. I'll do 2016 too. And then finally, I'll do a sum of the area. Okay, so now since I'm grouping, I get two template choices. So I can group with attribute list with grouping or basic summary with grouping. So the top one lists out each row and groups them into buckets, and then the bottom one can get these buckets without the individual features. So I'm going to go with attribute list with grouping. I can also select my styling, so I'm just going to stick with black and white, and you'll get a little preview what the cool tones look like afterwards. I can go in and change my page setup. Let's save the world and get some narrow margins in there. And once I hit finish, the new report view type will open up. So here you can see in the contents pane that it's broken up into sections. So I can select parts and then they'll get activated. So I can activate the areas I'm interested in editing. If I click that, this Format tab appears. I can go in and change my format from that. Or if I simply just double-click that, another pane will appear to format my text. Now, if I want to add some styles, if I want to easily format my report, I can go here. Or I can also add a system style. And in my 2D section, you'll see this reports checkbox there. Once I hit OK, you'll see that these layouts for my report type specifically will come out. So you can easily format your report from here. Okay, so I actually went in and I created my own report. So, you know, I threw in some graphics, I changed some fonts, I changed the colorings, and I made it pretty. And so this is the cool tones, and you'll see the final PDF. It has alternating blue rows. So if I want to share my report as a PDF, I can simply export it here. And if I go into my exporting options, you'll see that I can select my pages and even do a specific selection for certain pages I want to add. So this is the PDF I've exported. And as you can see, it's grouped by my province. These are all the fields that I wanted to add. And at the end of all of the fields, all the values in Alberta, you'll see that there's a summary, all the summary totals. So you'll see 2016 population, 2011, and also the sum of the area. If I go all the way to the end at the final page of my report, you'll see all of the report totals. Ooh, something else I wanted to show you guys. Are you guys ready? That's right, guys. That squiggly line you see down there, we've got spell check now in our layouts. Get excited. Okay, now let's get back into our PowerPoint, and I would like to show you guys a new extension for ArcGIS Pro called Locate XT. So the Locate XT extension discovers and extracts geocoordinates, place names, and other critical information from multiple types of structured and unstructured data formats. And then what it does is it places it into ArcGIS for visualization and analysis. The extension uses a high-speed regex pattern search extraction engine for this unstructured text. And what unstructured data is, it's any text or document that contains location information, including but not limited to web pages, reports, emails, and social media. So let's get into a demo of that. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a folder full of documents of incident police reports. Let's open one up and see what's inside. And here I can see I've got some coordinate data. And maybe I want to filter for keywords like robbery. Okay. So I can process each document at one time, or I can do an entire folder at a time. So that's what we're going to be doing. So here I've got my layer that's defined already. And to extract my data, I'm going to add data and extract locations. I'm going to specify my output, which is incidents. And this is an empty feature class that I've already symbolized by incident type. Now simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this folder and just drag and drop it in. I'm going to go into the properties. I'm going to extract my locations using coordinates, and I'm going to extract my attributes using some custom attributes. So let's take a look at what's in there. So here I've got this incident attributes file. I can have multiple custom attribute files that I would like to extract. It's activated, and let's just take a look at what that file looks like. So it's a basic text file I've authored from a template, and these are the keywords that we are going to be looking for. So I'll hit extract, and what it's going to do is it's going to append the output to the existing layer. So it's picked up on incident type, and we'll be scanning for these keywords here in the document. Let's go ahead and extract those locations. And you'll see that they just appear, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a point, and you'll see that it has extracted those coordinates, and also extracted that keyword that was robbery. So I can get some context of these coordinates by this pre-text section and this post-text section. I can also click on this source file, which is going to take me to that original Word document, and it's going to highlight those texts, that data that it had extracted. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And if you have a lot of documents with different formatting, you can just drag and drop and get all that information to get better geographic understanding of your data. Now let me show you how to extract some data from a different source. Okay, so here I'm on the Smithsonian site, and we can see some active volcanoes from the week of 20th February to the 26th. And if we scroll down, oh, take a look at that. We've got some more coordinate information. Maybe we can use all that. So I'm just going to go in. I'll extract my locations again, and this time I'll switch it over to text. I'm going to select all the text on this file, and I'm just going to drag and drop it in there. I'll select my output, and once I extract it, there you go, just like that, they all show up. So Locate XT makes it easy to geographically enable content from just a block of text. Okay, so let's get into an audience question, and let's take a look. Okay, so can Locate XT read addresses? So since it's using that regex structure pattern, if there are specific breaks in the text where you can pull the pieces out, then you can construct addresses. But currently, it can't find an address right now in a free body of text. Okay, so now I'll pass it over to Sapide, and she's going to be showing you some new and improved 3D capabilities.
Thank you so much. We learned so much. It was great. So let's look at the 3D and the imagery function within the ArcGIS Pro 2.3. We will highlight these measure functionalities and updates for 3D section for this webinar. Let's start with building scene layer. Adding native Revit files was supported in ArcGIS Pro 2.2. And in 2.3, building scene layer has been added. Building scene layer optimizes caching and rendering large complex Revit file in ArcGIS Pro. Beam information captured in the building scene layer is useful for visualizing, querying, and filtering different aspects of building. Another interesting topic when you are working with building scene layer is ability to set the filter. It's useful to filter elements or part of a building to see only the relevant or important information that you are looking for. Filters are contextual, and you can only create and apply a filter to a specific building scene layer. Let's talk about the full motion video. Full motion video is fully integrated into ArcGIS Pro 2.3. Full motion video enables us to manage and interact with video that has embedded geospatial metadata. It needs ArcGIS image analysis extension, and it's designed to quickly assess, analyze, and disseminate actionable information for timely decision support. It's well suited for situational awareness. Next interesting topic is interpreting images in perspective mode. In ArcGIS Pro 2.3, ArcGIS Image Analysis extension lets you see as the sensor sees. With the image analysis extension enabled, we can display any number of oblique images in the display map view. Pro 2.3 supports enabling image coordinate system for the imagery collected at oblique angles by displaying it in perspective mode. We can switch images from map space to image space view to visualize them from the perspective of the sensor. The image is no longer appears distorted, and it's displayed in its natural orientation. Okay, let me move on to my demo and show you all this terminology. The first thing I wanted to show you is working with Revit data. Revit data is very complex. It's very hard to be rendered in ArcGIS Pro. As well as georeferencing of the Revit data, it's very time consuming. That's why in Pro 2.3, we have new feature class called building scene layer. Let me turn off and on this building scene layer, and you see how fast we can render this feature in ArcGIS Pro in compare with the Revit data. Next thing that you may be interested, how you can create this building scene layer. There is a geoprocessing tool that helps us to take our Revit data and create coordinate system for our output and create SLPK format file for us. You are still able to share this building scene layer as a web scene to ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. Another favorite things within working with building scene layer is ability to set the filter to visualize part of this building. For example, I wanted to visualize only elements within the first floor. And also I wanted to visualize only walls available within this first floor. I have another good news for you. Another interesting new enhancement in ArcGIS Pro 2.3 is adding exploratory analysis tool within animation timeline. We can create animation using exploratory analysis. Let's look at one of this animation. We can use a slice tool to cut through the buildings and reveal hidden content available within this building. A slice tool is one of the tools available within the exploration analysis. And as you see, the bottom in the analysis, exploratory analysis is available for us and make us easy to create such an animation. Okay, let's move on to another interesting topic, which is full motion video. When you receive the video that has a geospatial metadata attached into it, you are able to run this video and visualize your video at the same time within your map view. So I think my Pro hanged, so I'm just going and turn off this one, and I hope that my second Pro working right now. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, and I'm make sure that I show you the full motion video. So next topic here is oblique image analysis. So when you receive the oblique imagery for this scenario, it comes from the San Francisco. You will see that everything is distorted and we are not able to perform editing. Next topic that I wanted to show you, the ability to switch to the perspective mode and change the map image to map space to image space. And I will show you what will happen. Voila, ArcMap is rendering everything in right orientation. Let's look at another oblique imagery from Torreno. As you see, this map almost has a 14-degree oblique imagery. I'm able to switch to the perspective mode and switch from map space to image space. Let me move on and go to the downtown in Torreno, and I wanted to show you another nice capability of ArcGIS Pro 2.3. Another item that I wanted to show you, ability to measure the height of buildings. So the first tool that I wanted to show you is available within the mensuration toolbox. I'm going and click top to bottom of this CN tower in Torreno, and my expectation is around 553 height for this CN tower. So as you see, all this information available, and I'm able to generate a report. So I wanted to stop sharing my demo, and I will pass the rest to Somaye to continue and talk about what's new in ArcGIS Pro 2.2, and talk about the resources. And I'm going and make sure that I'm able to show you a full motion video as well before we are done with our webinar. Somaye, go ahead.
Thanks, Peter. That was some really cool stuff you just showed us. Okay, so I first want to show you that, what's new in ArcGIS Pro 2.3. And trust me, this does not cover everything in what's new. It's a really big update, like we mentioned already. And if you would like to know everything that's included in the update, we're going to be posting a link in the chat, and that will send you to what's new in ArcGIS Pro 2.3. Also, here is a pro roadmap to what you can be expecting in the near term, in the near future, and then also long term. So if there's anything in here that interests you, please, stay in touch with Esri and keep taking a look at some of the resources we have. And we have some training classes, we have our webinar videos, we have some awesome blogs out there, we have our GeoNet community. So if any of these things really did keep you interested, please keep coming back and we'll keep updating you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to share one more time my demo, and I wanted to show you the full motion video that I was not able to render it last time. So I'm just going and share my monitor one more time, and as you see, we have a video that we are following the track in the highway. What is interesting in the full motion video, we are able to zoom to the frame and platform at the same time. I'm able to visualize the way that sensor look at our target. I'm able to create a bookmark or save it as a feature. Another interesting that I wanted to show you is ability to convert everything. It's available in the video to the PowerPoint. And it creates a snapshot of your image and map at the same time. So let me follow my video in my map. Another interesting things I wanted to show you, ability to add a graphic to your video. So I'm going and add a graphic, and as soon as I'm adding, you will see that it's available within my map. I'm able to remove the graphic, and also I'm able to save it as a feature class available within the file geodatabase. If I'm very interested, I'm able to sync all my layers within my map into my video at the same time. So as you see, as the truck is moving, I can see all the previous graphic that's available. So I'm going and stop sharing my monitor and move on to the slides. I just wanted to ask you to join us within upcoming Esri Canada user conference. Please register and attend at a city near you. We have 2 upcoming training classes related to the ArcGIS Pro that if you are brand new to ArcGIS Desktop, we recommend you to take the ArcGIS Pro Essential Workflow. The next thing that we are interested is we just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day and participating in the today's webinar. We will email you a recording of the webinar shortly, as well as a PDF of slides. Additionally, we will post the webinar recording to our archive page when it's ready. We would also like to get your thoughts on the presentation, so please fill out the survey that comes up when you exit the webinar. We will now stop the recording and we reply to your question by email after the webinar.